All right, welcome everybody to today's H3C Tech Talk. I'm Mark van der Paul and I'm going to be your guide for the next 45 minutes. Today we're going to be talking about H3C's active security portfolio, 4 different product families that give you a credible competitive answer to our competitors out there. We're going to be looking at our next generation firewalls, our application control gateway, our SIEM, which we call ISOC, and our anti-DDoS solution. Security is one of the fastest growing segments within the H3C portfolio, and the products we're covering today compete directly with those that we have in the local market, the well-known entities that are out there. I'm not going to necessarily mention names, but we know who they all are. And by the end of the session, you'll know what each product does, how they fit together, and how you can position them in conversations with customers. Just some housekeeping. Cameras off, mics muted, please. Questions welcome in the Q&A box throughout or at the end. And only put Q&A questions in the questions in the Q&A panel, please, not in the chat, because that's where we will answer the questions. My colleagues with me are Danny and Christo, and they'll be able to answer any questions as we go along. We've got about 45 minutes of content and then 15 minutes Q&A at the end. So I'll try and keep to that and stay on time. So let's start with the agenda. So here's how today is structured. We're going to go through 6 different sections. The threat landscape, just to set the scene. Why is security the most urgent conversation that you're having right now? We'll show the numbers and that'll make the case. The next one will be active security framework. What does active security mean? How does the H3C portfolio products fit into that? And we'll give you the things to talk about and to discuss our story coherently with your end customers. Then the next generation firewall portfolio, that's going to be the bulk of our time. We have 3 different families within this, the F1000s, the F5000s, and the M9000s. That covers everything from small branch deployments up to carrier scale chassis installations. Then we're going to be talking about ACG, ISOC, and anti-DDoS. These are specialized products. We actually launched them for 2026 for the international market, already being in use in the Chinese market prior to that as well. And then we'll show you how they integrate with the next gen portfolio as well. I just want to set my do not disturb on while I'm busy here. Okay, done. Right, then we're going to talk about the competitive positioning, who we compete against. We're going to show where H3C wins. We're not going to bash the other products, but we'll just show you where our strengths are. And then in section 6, from a partner perspective, practical things, which verticals to target, conversations to start, and how to get deals moving, things like that. Because some of us here are pre-sales, we have discussions with people, and your best pre-sales person is the technical engineer as well. They are the people that are on the ground talking to customers, so it's good for them to know as well. Okay, that's just a little bit about me and what you're going to be covering. Don't need to go too long into that. If you know me already, you know who I am. I'm Mark van der Paul. I'm a pre-sales solution architect at H3C, and I've been in the industry for about 30 odd years already. And I work with H3C partners across the region on different opportunities. And so we'll be going into what those different things are today. So let's get into the content and let's look at the threat landscape. Before we get into products, I just want to spend a couple of minutes on why we're here today. The threat environment that your customers are operating in has changed quite dramatically, and that change is creating real urgent funded security budgets. If not already, it should have been done already, but let's start talking about that. So this is why we need to talk about security with customers. This is why they should care about security as well. $9.5 trillion is what cybercrime's projected economic impact was in 2024. This is from Cybersecurity Ventures. So that's larger than the GDP of Japan. That's huge. And when you speak to your CIO, that kind of lands because that's a huge amount of money impact. 74% of breaches involve human element. So this points directly to the need for application control or URL filtering and access management, which product H3C has as well. 277 days is what IBM says it takes time to identify a breach to contain a breach. That's 9 months for an attacker to be inside a network before an organization even knows that somebody is there. And that's why you would want something like a SIEM product, like H3C's ISOC, to continuously monitor, correlate, and respond. And then from 2023 to 2025, there was a 3x ransomware growth year on year. So that's why there is this growth. The attacks are going, and it's increased even more now because there's huge amounts of money involved as well. So these threats are real. They are well funded by the attackers out there, and they're targeting customers right now. We've always said it's not a question of if, it's a question of when there'll be a security breach. The good news is H3C actually has products that are purpose-built to answer to every one of these items, and we'll be showing you how that works. So that's the threat picture. Let's see how H3C responds to that. Before we get there, let's just look at the commercial context. Security is not a nice to have. It's the fastest growing line item in enterprise budgets globally. Enterprises globally are spending more than $197 billion in 2024, and they exceeded $217 billion in 2025. That's from the IDC. This isn't speculative numbers. This is actual information that gathered. And there's 3 drivers to call out in that. So security is being funded at board level, not just IT level. It's not an IT thing. It's a governance problem now. And so that's why the board is making these kinds of funds available, as well as ransomware and regulatory fines have made it a business continuity issue. It's not just a technical issue anymore. So when CIOs talk to their board, security is in the top 3 priorities. Then compliance and regulation. In Europe, in South Africa, whether it's a GDPR, whether it's POPIA, whether it's PCI DSS for the financial sector, these are regulations that have teeth. The fines are real. I'm sure you saw recently the breach that one of the large banks in South Africa had. They are being fined a huge amount of money because of that breach. So this isn't a non-discretionary spend. It creates a reliable entry point for us to have conversations with our end customers. Then when it comes to legacy firewall refreshes, this is probably our biggest near-term opportunity. When we are talking to people that have existing Cisco ASAs or the Juniper SRXs or any legacy UTM appliances that are hitting end of support in the next 18 to 24 months. Customers know that they need to refresh, and H3C is a credible, cost-competitive alternative to our competitors out there as well. I like the word cost competitive. We don't sell cheap junk. Our products and our solutions actually work very, very well. So that's the market opportunity. So let's look at what the portfolio looks like and how we can position for it. So before we go deep on the products, I want to spend a moment on why H3C is a credible security vendor to recommend to your customers. We're not new to security, so let's look at our track record. So in China, we're the number 3 enterprise network security vendor by revenue, just behind Huawei and Cisco. In Africa and emerging markets, we have the R&D investment and customer scale to support enterprise-grade security deployments. We're not just a niche vendor. We actually have quite a few H3C firewall deployments already in Africa. So we're definitely not new to the market either. We have over 20,000 deployments for enterprise security deployments globally, including universities, hospitals, banks, financial institutions, government networks, and so on. So when a customer asks who else is using this, we have a credible answer for that. Also in over 80 countries. H3C Secret products are deployed in Southern Africa. We're actively expanding. We have local SE support, we have local partners, and we have products that can go into the government space as well. And then we've been doing this for over 20 years, and the R&D that's gone into that. So our security division has been building security technology since H3C was a joint venture with HP. So this is not a rebadged OEM product. Our next-gen firewalls, our ISOC and our anti-DDoS platforms are built by our own engineering teams. On the right, why partners choose H3C security. These are the verticals where H3C security deals are being won today. And if you have customers in education, healthcare, government, or anything else, we have proven security references to back up your recommendation. So talk to us and let's see how we can help you. We also have Tolly group validations. So people always want to know an external third-party validation of what it is that we've done. If you look on the left-hand side there, we've got 3 different Tolly group validations covering our different products to show how good they are. They're all available at tolly.com. So that's a differentiator. Very few vendors have independent validations across their full NGF FW portfolio simultaneously. And so when a customer says prove it, or when a tender requires independent benchmark evidence, then we have that as well. And on top of that, obviously, everything's in English. We're also included in Gartner Peer Insights and so on and so on. So we've proven ourselves at scale, and we are ready and have actively been working in the Africa market as well. I'm going to introduce the framework that ties all of these products together, and then we'll walk through the security portfolio at a high level before we go a little bit deeper onto each one. So these are our 4 pillars that we consider what our security philosophy is built on. The first pillar is prevent. So this is our next-gen firewalls. This is boundary control, encrypted traffic inspection, application filtering, geo-IP, IPS, and antivirus. The different models, the F1000 AIs, the F5000 AIs, and the M9000Xs all live in this space. Our next-gen firewalls aren't just a legacy deep packet inspection box. We do full SSL TLS inspection at line rate. The next pillar, pillar number 2, is detect. This is where you have a SIEM. H3C SIEM is called ISOC. You can't respond to threats that you can't see. And so the ISOC collects logs from every device in the network, correlates events, surfaces threats that individual devices would probably miss. And this takes our customers from being reactive to proactive. The third pillar is respond. This is part of the ISOC to network coordination capability. So when ISOC identifies a threat, it doesn't just alert an operator, it sends instructions to firewalls, switches, wireless APs, etc., to block or isolate affected traffic in real time. And that's what active means. Some of our switches even have an AD card that you can put in them that the ISOC then uses to enhance its threat intelligence within a network environment as well. Pillar 4 is manage. Now in this space, we have our security management platform. The security management platform can either be a standalone or it can be included as part of our ADNet product portfolio, which you've heard me talk about on previous sessions, or we can use CloudNet. So multi-branch firewall management, centralized policy, zero-touch deployment, and this is what makes the solution viable for organizations with 10 or thousands of sites. tip for our partners, when you're talking to customers about H3C security, don't lead with product names, lead with a framework like this. Ask customers which of these 4 pillars is your biggest gap right now. And then the answer tells you which product to pitch first. So let's look at the full portfolio before we go deep on each one. So this is a reference slide, just shows you our complete security story. We have our next-gen firewalls, the 3 tiers, the F1000 AIs for branches and SMME devices. In the small branches, we have the F100 AIs, the F5000 AIs for enterprise and head office, headquarters, and the M9000 for data center and carrier. And we'll go a little bit deep on each one in each of the different sections. The ACG 1000 is the application control gateway. So this gives us deep application inspection, URL filtering, bandwidth management, internet log auditing, and it's a product that wins deals when customers need to control internet access and not just block any threats, kind of almost like a proxy. Then ISOC, SMP, and CSAP SA. So the security operations stack, ISOC is the SIEM, the SMP is a centralized firewall management platform, and CSAP is the log analysis tool for large environments. Then we have our anti-DDoS appliance, which detects and cleans traffic. It is a dual role appliance that can switch between detection only and cleaning mode as well. The different deployments that we have the right product for every deployment, from a 5-user branch to a multi-tenant data center environment. As you said previously, we're the number 3 vendor in China and billions of people in China. And then that's a huge amount of footprint. So if a customer asks, does H3C do security? Yes, we do. Here's a slide that we can use to show them that we do everything that's on this page. So let's go into the portfolio in a little bit more of a deep dive. We're going to be talking about our next-gen firewalls. This is the heart of our security business and the product family you'll probably encounter most often when you're talking and dealing with partners. And we have 3 different tiers now. And I want you to walk away knowing exactly which one to recommend for which customer. The F1000 AI branch, next generation firewall, and then the F100, which we're not talking about here because mostly that's in the SMB space, but we can use those if we need to. You can see this slide shows you the different models we have and what the throughputs and speeds are and what the slots that they have as well. One thing that's different on ours is that we include the VSIS licensing for free. It's no extra cost for us, whereas our competitors charge separately for virtual system instances. We don't. And that's included with the device as well. So that's very useful for MSPs or customers with very complex segmentation requirements. Then the mid to high models have modules that we can put in for different expansion slots. We can add things in a branch appliance like LTE failover, for example, hardware bypass or NVMe storage without needing a forklift upgrade. AI threat detection. The AI designation, you noticed if you've been working with us for a while, we went from F1000 to F1000 AIs, is on-device threat intelligence. Not just cloud lookup, but local inference. So this resonates with customers in environments where there are latency sensitive or privacy sensitive traffic as well. So it doesn't just route all the traffic to cloud to get anything, it's on device threat intelligence. Then it all integrates into SMP, our security management platform. And this is a significant advantage for partners proposing managed security services, for example. So our competitive note, when we compete against Fortinet, for example, let's not talk about throughput per dollar comparisons on small packet traffic, because we know Fortinet leads there. Rather, let's lead on interface density, expansion capability, and the VSIP flexibility. When you take all those into account, in most cases, our pricing then becomes as competitive as our competitors out there with what it is that we do. The F5000, our next generation firewall in that series, is our flagship enterprise range. And this is where most large tender displacement opportunities are going to sit. You can see the huge amounts of performance and throughput in here. I mean, our biggest one is the F5000 AR360. That gives us 240 gigs of firewall throughput in a single 1U appliance. That's huge. So this is market-leading density that challenges some of our competitors out there that would need to have bigger appliances as well. And so this saves on rack space and things like that too. Our density is also very good. I mean, the F5000 AR360 model, we do 6 times 100 gig interfaces, which is more than what our competitors offer price-wise at this tier as well. And so if customers are building 100 gig spine leaf architectures in data centers and they want inline security, then this is the product that really goes in there where it matters as well. And then in this series, we also have built-in RAID storage. That's a very important thing to have, especially in regulated environments, because it means local log retention without a separate syslog appliance. And this means that we reduce BOQ costs by adding that in there as well. So we can definitely compete against our competitors out there like Palo Alto or Fortinet or even the Huawei USGs in this space and things like that. We definitely have the flexibility. Again, our VSIS, there is no extra licensing for this. This is added in automatically and costs, there's no extra cost for that. The M9000X is our carrier grade and data center next generation firewall. It's our highest end security platform, and it's aimed at carrier ISP opportunities or very large government networks and hyperscale data center security as well. It has 4.5 terabit system throughput on the M9000X10, so that's huge amounts of traffic. Very few vendors can compete at this scale. We also have our Clos Fabric architecture. Those that know H3C on our switching space, we deploy Clos and our 10500s and our 12500s. And this is unlike traditional chassis firewalls that use a shared backplane. We use Clos non-blocking switching. You'll try and say that fast on a Friday. Clos non-blocking switching fabric. So the same architecture that we use in our data center switches. So the throughput is definitely non-blocking and it's predictable. It's not a shared bus that has a ceiling limit. Our card flexibility in the space as well is key for carriers. The chassis can mix different next-gen firewall line cards, IPS-only line cards, load balancer line cards, consolidating everything that would be a separate appliances into a single appliance as well. And we can do 10,000 VSIS within this. So for managed security service providers who want to carve out separate tenants, we can go up to 10,000 on this chassis for virtual systems. So that's a huge amount, and that's included in our pricing. There is no extra license for that. So this platform is for specialist opportunities. We're probably not going to see many of them in South Africa. So when you have a customer that mentions ISP or national backbone or hyperscale, get in touch with us immediately and let's see how we can assist you. We'd like to see some of these sold in South Africa anyway, but that's why we're showing you what we have. So this is just a quick overview of our slide deck and what products we would put into which different spaces and what the different throughputs are. The key point here is our coverage and consistency. We have a platform for every deployment scenario, from a single branch to at 1 gig all the way up to carrier edge at 4.5 terabytes of throughput. So thing to consider is these platforms all share common OS, which is Comware. It's the same OS that we run on our switches, on our APs, on our Wi-Fi, on our routers as well. And so that helps integration, obviously. And we don't just sell a firewall. It's a complete security architecture. The next-gen firewall is the enforcement engine at the core, and the other products we're going to be talking about now extend visibility, control, and resiliency all around. So something for you to ask your customers is, where's your current firewall deployed and what's driving the review? And the answer tells you which tier to propose, and the table on this slide gives you a natural way to walk them through the choice that they want to have. All right, now we're going to get into some more specialized products that are new to the international market, things that people have been asking for a while that have been in China already. ACG is application control, the ISOC is the SIEM and security operations, and ANC DDoS for volumetric attack mitigation. So these are the products that differentiate us from other vendors that could only sell firewalls, for example. So the ACG, the application layer answer. It's our application security gateway. It's what you deploy when a customer needs to see and control what their users are doing on the internet. It doesn't just block traffic, but manages application access by a policy. So what does it do? The deep application identification, we have 6,000 applications that use L4 to L7 behavioral analysis. So we can distinguish between WhatsApp voice calls, WhatsApp file sharing, apply different policies to each. And this goes far beyond what a standard next-gen firewall can do with application signatures. The URL filtering category, it's category-based blocking. So social media, gambling, adult content with custom exception lists. It's a common requirement for education, government, and enterprise compliance, as an example. And then bandwidth management, FOS per application, per user, per group. We can throttle point-to-point and video streaming without blocking the application entirely, as an example. And then the internet log audit. We have a comprehensive log of who accessed what, when, and from where, which is required by regulatory organizations like GDPR and so on and so forth, enterprise audit compliance. And then what's very important is the SSTLS inspection. We decrypt HTTPS traffic for application identification. Without this, up to 80% of internet traffic is invisible to basic firewalls. So this is key to be able to do. They all come with a 1-year signature bundle included. And then we can add on to that as we need to. So we remove day one licensing and just makes it easier to close deals a lot quicker as well. In this space, we compete with Fortinet's proxy, FortiProxy and FortiManager application visibility at a lower price point. And we can position it as a complement to next-gen firewalls. The next-gen firewall is perimeter security, if you remember, and the ACG handles internet access policy and audit. So now let's look at ISOC, which is our security operations platform. This is the product that makes the difference between H3C as a firewall vendor and H3C as a security operations platform. So let me take you through what it actually does. It's our SIEM. And if you don't know what a SIEM is, Security Information and Event Management Platform. It's the product that makes us a security operations vendor, not just a firewall vendor. At the core, we are able to manage logs. We are able to process all of that information in a central space. All network devices send that information to the ISOC. We do threat detection, event correlation, anomaly detection, compliance reporting is built in, and then a coordinated response. So when we include firewall switches, Wi-Fi into this, we then get a real-time threat isolation as the ISOC identifies that threat and then sends the commands down to the hardware to be able to take the relevant action that it needs to be able to do. So it's an active monitoring of what's going on within that environment. I think that covers it, what I wanted to say there. All right. Typical deployment architectures. It normally operates as a 3-layer security operations platform. So let's look at what these different things are. The first one is data collection. So ISOC ingests events from all security and network devices, next-gen firewalls, switches, APs, and with H3C NAC, the endpoint admission defense. It supports syslog, SMP, SNMP, NetFlow, REST APIs. We can get logs from third-party devices. So it's pretty much a vendor-agnostic platform at the collection layer. Normalization is built in. We convert all log formats into a unified event model, and we have quite a long log retention that's built in for compliance and forensics as well. The second layer, which is analysis and correlation, the events that we've collected are now processed through an AI and rule-based correlation engine. User entity behavior analytics identifies anomalous behavior patterns. Threat intelligence, both from local feeds and cloud-based, is correlated in real time. Alerts are automatically stored and triaged, so SOC analysts can see the highest priority incidents first. Full attack timelines are reconstructed automatically, and dashboards give the analyst and executive views of what's going on. Then the third layer, which is response and remediation. ISOC closes the loop. When a threat is confirmed, automated playbooks push dynamic rules down to the firewalls, the ACG devices, the endpoints, the APs, the switches, etc., without any human intervention. So alerts can be sent via email, SMS, syslog, etc., and so we can take action as it happens faster than what a human can do. The ISOC can be deployed alongside existing infrastructure, so it's not dependent on the full H3C next-gen firewall rollout. So this could be a segue or an entry point into customers as something to start with first. To put them in, demonstrate the threat visibility, and then we could expand to a full active security stack over time as well. Let's take a look at our anti-DDoS solution. So the AFC 2000 EG is our flagship DDoS detection and mitigation appliance. The key differentiator is it has a dual role architecture. It's a 2U device that uses both detection and traffic cleaning. Most of our competitors out there have separate detection sensors from cleaning centers, which gives it more costs and deployment complexity. We can include both into a single appliance as well. And so the detection, we build per source traffic baselines using a combination of SFlow and NetFlow. When traffic deviates from the baseline, either by volume or maybe the protocol distribution changes, or there's an application layer pattern that changes, that triggers an alert with sub-second latency, and this gives customers very quickly a view of what's going on. In the mitigation layer, the BGP root injection approach is relevant for carrier deployments. So when an attack is detected, AFC 2000 advertises a more specific route to pull traffic through itself for scrubbing before it forwards clean traffic to the destination. So this is a standard scrubbing sensor model used by ISPs globally. The inline mode for customers who want deterministic protection without BGP complexity, putting it inline is also supported. And this is more common with enterprise deployments where you put it in your local enterprise data centers as well. ISOC is key here because when the anti-DDoS appliance detects a layer 4 DDoS attack, it signals the ISOC to simultaneously update firewall policies on the firewalls and orchestrate a coordinated response rather than handling each layer in isolation as well. So when you're competing against competitors like Forti, etc., lead with a single appliance dual role story and 100 gig cleaning capacity. It's a huge thing, and it's something that we can take to and compete against our competitors with. This is just a slide that just shows how we compete, where we win. It's an anchor to show it's not an exhaustive technical comparison. It's just a conversation starter. And we can look through that and see where H3C wins. It's a genuine market-leading stat, so we can see where we can help. Our VSIS licensing, this is the common overlooked cost driver. Fortinet charges per VDOM license. So in case you're wondering what was VSIS I was talking about, we call what Forti calls VDOM, we call VSIS. Palo Alto charges for virtual system add-ons. Ours is included at no extra cost. And so we have complex segmentation requirements. This can represent tens of thousands of dollars in saved licensing costs as well. And then when you look at our application control, Palo Alto has that built into every next-gen firewall. We have a separate appliance, but we include a year signature database for free. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And when you add all the total costs together, we are definitely very cost competitive there as well. I think what's very important is our SIEM, our iSOC solution that we've put in. Our competitors carry an additional licensing costs for a lot of things, huge costs. We have the ability to push back to next-gen firewalls in response to SIEM events without human intervention. Is a capability that our competitors require expensive SOAR tooling from other vendors, which we don't need to do. And so we, as I've mentioned before, we definitely have solutions that can compete in this note. We don't try and win everywhere, but as a complete solution, we do deliver a very compelling solution and package as well. So from a sales perspective, I'm going to just be very quickly here. We've looked at our product portfolio. How do you translate all of this into conversations with your customers? So depending on the deployment scenario, this is going to help you identify what it is that you can take to your customers. As you know, we don't have an SD-WAN appliance. Our firewalls and our routers are our SD-WAN appliances. And so we assign those where we need to go. We decide on what it is we're going to put down when it comes to an SD-WAN solution. But in today's landscape, if we're going to be going a full solution, it would be best to put our firewalls down as our SD-WAN CPE device. From a campus and branch perspective, this is a bread and butter opportunity. The F1000 is a very strong replacement. The key question you ask a customer is, how many branches do you have? How are you currently managing security policy across them? If the answer is inconsistently, or if it is one competitive firewall per branch with no central visibility, then we can pitch our firewalls and our SMP product. If it's SD-WAN and wide area network, if we put a firewall down, that can also be an SD-WAN CPE device. That's reducing device count, so we simplify operations. So it's a single device that does both firewall and SD-WAN CPE. So that's a very big competitive differentiator there. And our licensing model is a lot simpler too. And in the data center, 240 gigs throughput in a one new product is very good. And then also building 100 gigs finally. Most organizations or data centers are running 100 gigs and busy looking at 400 to 800 gigs in the very near future as well. So how do we win deals? So the first thing to think about is the questions that we're going to ask. And so we have 3 conversation starters that you can start using on Monday. The first one is consolidation. That's the best entry point into any account, is the consolidation question. So ask the prospect to list every security tool they currently pay for, and then we can show them how H3C's integrated portfolio can replace most of them. And this reframes us from another vendor to evaluate to a simplification vendor. Framework 2, total cost of ownership. Partners we often lose deals because we compare H3C unit price to our competitors' unit price without accounting for all of the licensing. So when you factor in additional VDOM licenses, additional management licenses, additional SSL inspection performance degradation requiring overspecking the hardware, our 3-year total cost of ownership is comparable or even lower. So again, we build a simple spreadsheet to the customer specific config and show them the total cost of ownership and stick to the simplification vendor story as well. Framework 3, talking about active security. This is the strategic frame for our security products. The key phrase is proactive threat defense. So use that when speaking to customers. We can detect a threat, respond at machine speed without waiting for an analyst to act. And the specific proof point is our ISOC policy pushback to our next-gen firewalls. Other vendors require SOAR tooling to do that at an additional cost. We include this capability within the platform. Ask your partners to pick, or your customers to pick, one of these 3 frameworks when you're talking to them. And then I think using all 3 in a first meeting is a bit much. So pick the one that resonates with your partners the most, and let's talk about those when we discuss these opportunities with them. And that is me done for the day. We've covered a lot today. What's resonated most with your current customer opportunities? Does anyone have a live tender where we can work on, or a live opportunity where we can maybe work with you on something right now? Or do you have any competitive situations that you'd like to do some to prepare? And then I just want to point out that our next session is our H3C SD-WAN and SASE solution, Intelligent WAN for the hybrid enterprise. You can scan the QR code on the screen and then register for that as well. And if you have any questions, you can ask them now, or just contact your H3C representative, or even get information from our H3C website. And thank you for your time. Is there any questions? Anything you want to talk about? No questions. Thanks, Roger. I see Sean's mic is muted. Let me maybe Sean wanted to ask something. I don't know. Okay. If there's no questions, I think we then can adjourn. Thanks, everybody.